Well, welcome to our Towne BMW Keys to the Game as I'm joined by Bulls head coach Lance Leipold. We're getting you ready for kickoff between the Bulls and the Colgate Red Raiders, a 6 o'clock start here coming up soon right here at UB Stadium. Let's talk about the Red Raiders, Coach. And before we get into any of the specifics on what they've done, every time there's an FCS team on the schedule, some people just assume it's an easy win. Last year, I think we all learned a lesson not to underestimate the FCS teams. Is that something you've had to talk to your team about at all?
Yeah, I think so. I think some of our older players may know. I think Stony Brook came in one year, played us to the wire. You know, Albany last year came out of here with a win against us. Very disappointing way to start our year. So I think you look at it. Then you can look across college football from Howard University, University of South Dakota, some other people that have gotten some wins early. Rhode Island, triple overtime loss to Central Michigan. I think those things, when our players take a look, they understand that on any given Saturday, somebody can come out with a win.
Is the easiest way to explain it basically the same things you and I talked about? Was it related to playing a Big Ten team in Minnesota, how fired up your guys were to prove themselves? That's kind of what Colgate looks at when they're playing their only FBS team, which is you.
Yeah, I think that's a great correlation of things. And as we've gone through, we got to make sure we respect everyone, but we're not going to fear anyone when we go into a Big Ten stadium, and they're not going to fear us coming in here. So we've got to make sure that we're ready to execute on all cylinders.
Getting you ready for kickoff between the Bulls and the Colgate Red Raiders, joined here by Bulls head coach Lance Leipold. These are our Towne BMW keys to the game. Colgate has played 2 games, won 1, lost 1, both of them against teams that were ranked in the FCS top 25. Does that help your preparation to be able to see how they've performed against a top-level team in their division?
I think it helps some. Those are 2 really good football teams. You know, as we've stated before, they traveled all the way across the country to go get that first win against a ranked opponent. Richmond has always been a team that's always has a chance to be in the playoffs. So when you're evaluating film, you know that you know, as you're trying to gauge a matchup, sometimes it's hard to gauge personnel maybe against someone. So we know they're playing good opponents, people that we maybe have seen before, and it's still going to be one that's coming down to how we execute.
One of the headline players for Colgate is a guy that's already on the radar of the NFL scouts. He is a preseason FCS All-American. He led the Patriot League in tackles for loss and sacks. His name is Pat Afriye. He's a defensive end for Colgate, but he got hurt in that first game and he didn't play in that second game. So when you have a dominant player like that will change what they want to do, how do you react to not knowing whether he's going to play?
Yeah, well, you got to prepare like he's going to, because if you know, he's a difference maker for them. He can be very disruptive. We better be aware when he's on the field. But at the same time, you know, our game plan is going to be the game plan. But if number 37's on the field, we better be able to locate him and maybe get our tackle some help.
Talking with Bulls head coach Lance Leipold as we get you ready for kickoff between the Bulls and the Colgate Red Raiders. They've played 2 quarterbacks already this year, and there's some indication that today they're going to change the starter and go with a freshman. So again, what's that challenge for you and your coaching staff on figuring out how to prepare for 2 different guys?
Well, you know, in the opener we went against 2 different guys, so it's not going to be you know, a big thing. I think when you look at what do they do when they're in the game, and what film showed last week, their philosophy of what they want to do offensively is going to stay the same. It's just someone else running it. So as long as it stays that way, I think it keeps it pretty consistent what we want to do.
As it relates to your team through the first 2 games, is there a particular part or a personnel group or even some individual players that maybe have surprised you with the way they've played through the first 2 weeks?
Well, I think the one that stands out to me right now is the way our defensive line has played. The front 4 has played extremely well. You know, again, we still have to keep that first 4, especially. We have to continue to develop the depth behind them because it's a long season. So I think that's about the first spot where it goes. I think we've gotten some of the explosiveness out of you know, the receiver position, and I think what we've had to do at the offensive tackle position, I think those you know, the right and left tackles have been very steady for us.
We've seen the big plays, 4 of them already, of more than 48 yards. How does the ability that your team is showing to create big plays change maybe the way that Andy Kotelnicki will call offensive plays and utilize some of your players?
Well, we've tried to be aggressive in the first half of both games. I think you've seen us try to, we're not holding anything back. We're going to take some shots down the field where we're going to be aggressive, and we want to continue to do that. And I think when you create those type of plays, it just gets you in a position of feeling more confident as a unit, and of course as the play caller, I know he's going to be more willing to take those shots.
I guess you'll probably tell me that you'd like to see some more out of the running game. What has been some of the issues with getting Jonathan Hawkins and Emmanuel Reed in the running game started so far?
Almost over 30 years of coaching, I think when you talk about where you struggle sometimes, it might be it's something different every play, Paul, and that's a little frustrating, because if it's a back not making the right reads or not doing one thing, you can make a change at running back. If it's something in the offensive line, you can try somebody else. But it's usually a combination of different things of some of the things I might have mentioned, and through each run, we just need to do a better job consistently, because we are able to get a few. We just need more of them.
Getting you ready for kickoff between the Bulls and the Colgate Red Raiders here at UB Stadium, the home opener. We all saw the amazing 75-yard run by Tyree Jackson. It may be one of the signature plays of the season, even early like that. But what else are you seeing from Tyree in his development as a quarterback?
I think composure's been a big thing. I think even when things haven't gone well, he's kept his composure pretty well. I think having Jim Zabrowski, his position coach, on the sideline has really helped with that as they've talked through things. And again, the ability to make those big play throws down the field, again, it shows his arm. So when you have somebody that can, throw it 60 yards with ease for a touchdown pass right after they, run for 75 yards, show that he is definitely a dual threat guy and somebody that can be quite special.
You touched on the relationship between Tyree and his quarterback coach, Jim Zabrowski, and that's not an underrated thing to have Jim on the sidelines, for Tyree to be able to come over and say, hey, did I do the right thing? Did I see the right read? Or maybe sometimes it's Jim going to him and saying, hey, how come you didn't see what you're supposed to see?
Well, and that's, a unique thing, I guess, maybe, or maybe slightly different than a lot of things in college football. When you look at that, many times the coordinator is the quarterback coach, and that's one of the things we talked about when we made the change of positions, that it was going to enable us to help in Tyree's just development and not have the quarterback coach worrying about what plays were going to be called next. That's many times, and if we use it maybe in NFL terms, is that there's an offensive coordinator and there's still always a quarterback coach, and the coordinator is really the head coach of the offense. So given a chance for Jim and Tyree to talk all the time, I think is also been a soothing effect on the sideline, and for us to make the adjustments that we need.
All right, those are the Towne BMW keys to the game. It's the Bulls and the Colgate Red Raiders coming up here at UB Stadium. Coach, thank you for your time. Good luck tonight.
Thank you very much.
That is Bulls head coach Lance Leipold. More to come here on the UB Football pregame show from Learfield.